microphone.
So a writer died. There we go. So a writer died and was given the opportunity to go to heaven or hell. And she said, well, let me check out each place first. And as she descended into the fiery pits, she saw row upon row of writers, chained to desks, being whipped with thorny lashes. And she said, oh my, well, let me see heaven now. So as she ascended into heaven, she saw row upon row of desks, with writers chained to these desks, being whipped with thorny lashes. And she said, wait a minute, this is the same as hell. Oh, no, it's not, replied an unseen voice. Here, your work gets published. I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I'll introduce our panelists here today. We have a traditionally published author here, Sarah Shaber, whose first book, Simon Said, won the St. Martin's Press Malice Domestic Contest for Best First Traditional Mystery. She has since published Snipe Hunt, The Fugitive King, The Bug Funeral, and Shell Game. She lives in Raleigh, North Carolina with her family. John Batson is a musician and self-published author. His books include The Rand's Conspiracy, The Songwriter's Hookbook, The Powder Monkey of Cape Fear, and Gaston's Last Run. John lives in Raleigh with his wife Eileen. To my left here we have Sarah Goddin, who is a manager here at Quail Ridge Books. We hope to be, oh, Katie has shown up. We have Katie Jamison, who is a representative of Lulu.com. Katie works in the community department at Lulu. And then myself, I was selected as a finalist in the 1998 Dale Magazine's undergraduate fiction competition. In 2001, I graduated with a master's degree in English. I have a self-published 3 novels and a short story collection, and have 4 times been selected as a quarterfinalist in the Writers of the Future short story competition. In 2004, my novel Culpepper was selected as a finalist in the St. Martin's Press PWA Best First Private Eye Novel Contest. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina with my wife, Dr. Susan K. Miller Cochran, and our son Sam. And I teach writing at North Carolina State. I'd like to start with Sarah to my left here, if you would. We'll start with a positive question. What can a self-published author do to impress a store manager in order to book an event?
We're sharing the microphone. That's a good question, and really it depends first of all on the book. And it's a long answer to a short question, because the books that we are most successful with here that are self-published books are nonfiction books that tell something about Raleigh or the area or someone here who is well known. And if it fits one of those criteria and is a professionally edited and published book, then it has a very good chance of having an event. The other things would be if you have a lot of support locally and there's going to be a lot of media interest generated. But it really has to start with the book. It has to be a good book, and it has to be something that people are interested in, and then there has to be local support for it.
And then following up on that, so what are some of the common mistakes that you see from self-published authors?
Some of the common mistakes would be a book that's not professionally published, in other words, that looks at staple bound or just is not a professional looking book, that has typographical errors or things like that. For us, a book that isn't necessarily a mistake by the author, but that wouldn't work for us, would be a genre book that we don't carry or generally support that genre. We don't do romance, we don't do automotive books, we don't do slasher type books. So if it was something like that, that would be not necessarily a mistake for the author, but it would be something that we would have a hard time carrying in the store just because it's something we wouldn't be successful with. But I'd say having the book professionally proofread and edited and published is a huge step that most authors do need to take in order to find a home in most bookstores.
Great, thank you. And our traditionally published author on the panel today, which I'd like to thank you for being here, Sarah Shaber. Let me ask you, so can you tell us a story? I've heard this once before myself, but it's such a wonderful story. Can you tell us a story of finding out about how you won the St. Martin's Press contest?
I suppose that a lot of people here have heard this story, but I embarked on novel writing some years ago and wrote for years, literally. And unlike many authors, I stuck with the same piece of writing. I wanted to write a mystery novel. And so I did enter it in the St. Martin's Press contest and lost. But then I rewrote it and re-entered it and won. The editor called me, and I wasn't at home. And I got back, it was very late on a Friday, and I was very concerned that she would be off to her house at the Hamptons. Or since then I've learned that editors can't afford houses at the Hamptons. And she was in the office, and she told me I had won it. And with it came an advance and a publication contract.
And this next question is for Katie. Again, Katie is a representative of Lulu. Katie, can you tell our audience here what exactly is self-publishing, and then what is Lulu.com?
All right. Well, I mean, there are a number of self-publishing options that are out there. Basically, you know, self-publishing is exactly that, where you take it upon yourself to, you know, actually create a professionally bound, printed product. It can mean a variety of things in terms of, you know, whether you're the person who's in charge of the editing, if you work with someone to do that, if you design it yourself or have someone else design it. And what Lulu is basically I don't know, it's a big step forward in terms of the self-publishing environment, in that we've kind of addressed the need to make self-publishing tools available to anyone online. And so what Lulu is essentially is just a website where you can go and open up an account, and then we kind of connect you with the tools to print on demand that published book. So any of the books that you would publish through our site, it would involve uploading a document, you know, your finalized document, in which case you're responsible for working with an editor on your own, and we actually have a services marketplace where we can connect you with those people, but we don't charge people up front for a huge bundled package where it's, you know, however many thousands of dollars for those services, and so you decide what you need a la carte, and then publish that book online, and then basically whenever anyone orders your book, then that person essentially pays for it to be printed and produced one at a time. So you don't get yourself in a position where you're paying thousands of dollars up front and, you know, then having to peddle those books to different bookstores and things like that. It's a very low risk option for someone who's interested in self-publishing.
Great, that's a good answer. Now, how many authors do we have in the audience today? Show of hands. So about half to maybe 2/3. We're probably all familiar to some degree with the stigma around self-publishing. So what I want to do is turn this over to John, who is the self-published author on the panel here. John, what are some of the things that you, as a self-published author, do to overcome the stigma associated with self-publishing?
Well, first of all, I wanted to make sure that I had as professional a product as I could. Before I put it up, I made sure I went through it several times myself. I had my wife run through it, several friends run through it, mark any errors. Then I had an editor look at it. And so I made sure that it was error-free. I spent a lot of time on formatting. I made sure that my cover looked pretty good. See, that's my cover over there. It's not bad. Pretty good. That's my desk. That's my address book. That's my computer keyboard. And I did it all myself, but I want to make sure that it looked good, that it looked right. I didn't just slap it together and put it out and said, I did it, therefore it's wonderful. I wanted to make sure it was right. Then I put it up. Lulu offers you a chance to have a page, your own bookstore. So it's lulu.com/John Batson. And people can go there, they see my picture, I have my wife take a nice picture, and they see the write-up, and then I promote that everywhere I go, on my business card, on my own website, in other websites. I put the book on Google Publisher. So you can put that up on Google Publisher, so if anybody searches on something that's in my book, my book comes up as one of the options, and there's